Hello, I'm State Representative Kristina Daley Roegner from the 42nd House District, and welcome to Ohio in Focus.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Ohio in Focus, a program that brings state government to you. I'm your host, Mike Ditto. We have with us today State Representative Kristina Daley Roegner, who serves in the 42nd House District, which includes Cuyahoga Falls, Hudson, Monroe Falls, Silver Lake, and Stowe. Representative Roegner, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mike. It's good to be here again.
So that's right, this is your second time here, and you've had a busy first 9 or 10 months, and you're the co-sponsor of a number of pieces of legislation, so let's get right to it and talk about them. One of the first things that you co-sponsored and joined on to was House Bill 78, the viability bill with Representative Joe Eaker of Southwest Ohio. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, well, that viability bill, what it does is it says if a woman is 20 weeks along in her pregnancy, before an abortion is performed, the doctor has to check to see if that baby is viable. And if that baby is viable, then the abortion then may not be performed unless the mother's life is at risk, in which case you do everything possible to save the life of the mother and the child. So 2 doctors present in a neonatal intensive care unit in a hospital. That bill was passed by the House, it was passed by the Senate, and it was signed into law close to the end of July by the governor. So we're very excited that that one has moved along so well and is saving babies.
In addition to that, you've already had a second bill that has been signed into law, House Bill 94, which I think it's companion with Senate Bill 2 or Senate Bill 4.
Correct.
The Common Sense Initiative with Representative Andy Thompson. What does that bill do?
This bill is about regulatory reform. I mean, the underlying intention of it is to really help the economy, to make Ohio friendly to business. And what it does is it says if there's any given rule or regulation, what's the benefit of that rule or regulation for the general public? But then what, if any, is the adverse impact for a business? I mean, how much does it cost them basically to comply with that rule and regulation? And then at the end of the day, does that make sense? And if the answer is no, then we need to rethink that rule or regulation. So, that one was also passed by the House and Senate and signed into law. That was actually the first one that the governor signed of the bills of which I've sponsored. So we're very excited. It's already up and running and helping Ohio to be more business friendly.
It sounds like you've had a pretty busy first just even couple of months getting bills signed into law by the governor already in your first term, which is wonderful, certainly. And I know that you're working on some other bills that are also a bipartisan fashion type bill, like House Bill 94. You spoke recently on the House floor about House Bill 285, a bill that you co-sponsored with Representative Kenny Yuko of Cleveland.
Correct.
What is that bill?
That bill it's an awareness bill. And what it does is it's a mesothelioma awareness, and it dedicates the month of September in Ohio for awareness to mesothelioma, and I'll talk about that in just a second, what it is. And it also designates November as lung cancer awareness. Now, mesothelioma, it's a cancer generally of the lungs, and it's always caused by asbestos, exposure to asbestos. An individual will be exposed and then 20, 25, 30 years later, after a latency period, it becomes active, develops into mesothelioma. Generally, the patient, on average, is given 6 months to live, and it's just an awful, horrible death. So it was, my brother-in-law passed away from mesothelioma, so this one certainly was personal for me. I enjoyed working with Representative Yuko on this, as you said, in a bipartisan bill, because truly mesothelioma and lung cancer, they don't, these diseases don't differentiate between Republicans or Democrats. They affect everybody. And also, I'd like to mention that those bills don't cost anything. There's no cost to the state or the taxpayers. It's simply to raise awareness.
It's raising awareness.
Yeah. Because the sooner you can catch these...
Very true.
Yeah. There is no cure for mesothelioma, but certainly the sooner you can catch it or ideally avoid exposure to asbestos, the more treatments there are.
Certainly. Additionally, I think you've been working on a bill, House Bill 244, with Representative Ann Gonzalez dealing with paramedics and immunizations. Right. What does that bill do?
What this bill does is, basically what it is it allows paramedics to administer a flu vaccine to other paramedics and firefighters. Now, what this is, the intention is to help save costs through scheduling, and so they don't have to bring in a nurse and everyone has to come in on the same day. It's more flexible because if you have paramedics already there and they can provide the immunizations as needed. Also, by the way, immunizations are, this is not mandating anyone gets an immunization.
Sure.
I want to be clear about that. This is just providing them the flexibility, if they so choose, to use their own paramedics.
Finally, one of the other bills that you've been working on recently kind of dovetails off the pro-life communities bills with the viability bill and House Bill 78, but another one, House Bill 298, dealing with family planning services. What does that bill do? What
this bill does is it prioritizes how money is distributed, and basically it says let's fully fund first our public entities. Hospitals, and then we sort of, once those are fully funded, you move down to the private healthcare providers, and first we would fully fund those healthcare providers that are comprehensive healthcare, so provide everything that a person would need, before you then fund those that are only for family planning services. So, you know, all the Right to Life groups are certainly very supportive of this as well. I would like to mention there is one other bill that we have underway right now. It's 246, and that's electronic reverse auctions. And currently in Ohio, cities and schools, they can use electronic reverse auctions. And I guess I ought to explain what that is.
Yeah, what
first.
is that? I was just going to ask.
So typically if a city or a school wants to buy something, a service or a good, they'll send out, they'll post for it, and then they'll receive bids, and they'll open these bids, and the best and lowest bid wins. What this electronic reverse auctions says, okay, we're going to have this online. First, we'll qualify the bidders. So make sure if you're bidding, you're qualified. We'll very clearly lay out what the specifications are of what we're looking for. And then at a certain time, say on Tuesday at 1 o'clock, all you vendors get online, and there'll be basically an online auction where they'll start at a high price, and then they'll bid down, bid down, bid down until it's over, and then the lowest price either wins. But you know what? You don't even have to pick the lowest price. It's still lowest and best. So if for whatever reason the lowest price vendor you don't like, but what it's done is it's placed downward pressure on the prices, and so this bill would say we would allow cities and schools to use this tool if they want to for construction services. Certainly many of them are asking for it, the county commissioners, municipal association. They want this tool because it'll help them save tax dollars, or they can leverage those tax dollars at further construction projects. So currently that one's in committee. I don't know when there's a vote scheduled. It's just going through testimony right now. So you've kept pretty busy with a lot of stuff there. Just those alone.
Just
those, yeah.
And plus you had the state budget on top of that. And I understand that you and Representative Kristina Hagen of neighboring Stark County are also working on a bill dealing with the state budget. What's that bill do?
Well, the state budget itself is a two-year budget, right? And what Representative Kristina Hagen and I are proposing, and we have not yet introduced the bill, we're still in the drafting phases, but it's to say, let's have a financial outlook, a projection. So, you know, this is a way it looks now in Ohio financially, our debt load, our, Medicaid, and then project that out.
Is it similar to
forecast it?
Is it similar to how school districts have their
they have to do it, right, exactly. It's a little further, it's an outlook.
Sort of a long-term thinking strategy.
Right, and the idea is to have this it's a nonpartisan, just very fact-based financial outlook, so that legislators will be able to start thinking of and crafting policy legislation so that we can avoid a crisis before it happens. And also we'll be on the same page. I mean, so for example, this $8 billion gap, everyone will say, okay, this is the size of the gap. This is what we're going to be facing in 3 years down the road. So we think it'll be a great tool for legislators, but also would like to make it available to the public.
On that front, you talked a little bit about just a number of different bills that you've been working on, and I understand that you've been working on some sort of common sense approaches to legislation, EPA permits, law director reimbursements, et cetera. What are some of those ideas that you're working on as well?
Yeah, well, with the EPA, that is just simply, well, in the district that I represent, the city of Stowe was having an issue with the Ohio EPA in terms of getting permits back on a timely basis so that they could get projects completed. So we've been looking into what can we do in the General Assembly to help this process flow a little smoother for municipalities, certainly. And then with the law director, that one we're still drafting as well. We need to meet with the Judicial Conference, but that also originated out of Stowe. It has to do with the law director's reimbursement from the county. It's just over $100 for every 2 weeks, and yet he's the one that handles all the cases for the townships. Wow. So it's just, yeah, but those are still in the drafting phases.
The concept ideas.
Yeah.
Now, in addition to your legislative work here in Columbus, your work on committee, all of that good stuff, I understand that you've been doing a fair amount of volunteering and other civic activities back in the district. Tell us about what you've been up to.
Well, I was looking for a way to give back not only to the community, but also specifically to schools. And so I reached out to, again, the Stowe City Schools. And I said, listen, I can dedicate Monday afternoons to you, whether you want to have me wiping tables in the cafeteria or, teaching an algebra class, it doesn't matter. I am at your service. And they took me up on it, not the wiping tables part, although I would certainly do that. But they have me in their government classes. Surprise, surprise.
Of course, well, that makes sense.
And I just had my first 2 classes last Monday, and it was just wonderful. It was several classes of seniors in high school, and it's just so much fun to actually be able to say, all right, they're studying, at the time they were studying different parties and what different parties generally represent, and to be able to draw on my experience in the State House and say, yeah, okay, this is what the professor says, what do you think, and this is what I'm experiencing. It was just a great conversation, and the kids were really engaged.
That was what I was going to ask, if they were. That's good.
Yeah. So I think they got a lot out of it, and certainly I did as well, and I can't wait to keep going with that.
Good, good. As we move into the rest of the fall here, are there any other items that you've been working on with your constituents or your offices, or anything pending in committee that's been particularly important beyond the state budget and other things that have been discussed in the last 10 months?
Mike, this has been a whirlwind
I'm sure.
first year. I mean, we haven't wrapped it up yet, but there's just been so much, and it's just been thrilling to know that we can and we have made a difference in the lives of Ohioans, and I can think of no better job, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of it down here. In terms of back in the district, of course, I'm doing the volunteering, as I mentioned, but also office hours. I do that on a regular basis. We generally try to have office hours at our libraries, one in Hudson, Stowe, and Cuyahoga Falls. Those are the 3 major libraries each month. And I just really look forward to that time when people can come in and just talk to me about what's on their mind, and it ranges from anything. So that's a highlight of my week for sure.
That's wonderful.
Meeting with the constituents.
We've got just about 1 minute left, and I always think it's a good idea. We've got your contact information at the bottom of your screen, but it's always a good idea to remind your constituents what committees you serve on here in the House.
Yes. So I serve on the Public Utilities, Commerce and Labor, and then Education. And Education, it's K through 12, not the higher ed.
Right.
Yeah. So,
and those. Very busy.
Yes, it sure does. I definitely invite anybody who's watching this, if they want to contact me at any time, to do so, either on phone or email. I just love to hear from people. Well, I appreciate you taking a little bit of time to come talk with us and to talk to your constituents. I know you're busy, so Representative Roegner, thank you for coming back. That was fun. Come back again, I hope. Absolutely, anytime. Good. Well, thank you again, and to all of you, you've been watching Ohio in Focus, the program that brings state government to you. We hope you'll join us again next time.